Hello and welcome back to the creative world of logo design. I'm your instructor, Brad Surgison, and in this section I'm going to be teaching you all about Adobe Illustrator. Yes, the software program that we use to create logos and all sorts of fantastic graphics. I'm going to show you all about it. Now let's start by doing a rundown of the sections ahead of us. We're going to cover Adobe Illustrator, and as you know, in the earlier sections you saw me using Fireworks. I use Adobe Fireworks. I'm comfortable in it. I think it's awesome, but for all intents and purposes we're going to do some Adobe Illustrator, and I'll show you all about that, and we'll take it from a basic to advanced level, and it's going to be fast paced, so keep up. We're going to talk about drawing and editing shapes in Illustrator. We're going to talk about working with text in Illustrator, other important tools, and then we're going to go on to developing symbols, printing, saving, and exporting files, and then Illustrator for logo design, drawing from a scanned sketch, which I covered briefly earlier, working up in logos, black and white, color types, adding color to logos, saving elements for print, and saving elements for the web. Then in our last section, we'll go to finalizing the logo, how to send a logo draft proof, client feedback, amends and finalizing, and quoting for a logo design project. Okay, let's break into Adobe Illustrator and see what all the hype is about, shall we? Okay, going to go into our apps and open her up here. And scrolling on down the line, Adobe Illustrator CC 2015. Whoa. Okay, now myself personally, I've never worked in Adobe Illustrator before, so I really don't know what I'm doing. Just kidding. I'm going to take you all through the steps here. We're going to go from basic to advanced, once again fast-paced here. I guess first and foremost we should start by opening up a new file, and I'll take you through the settings. Now all sorts of different software has all sorts of different things, and what you might be used to in, let's say, Photoshop or Fireworks is you're working with canvases and so on. Here in Illustrator we work on things called artboards. Now we'll go Intro, Illustrator. For our file name, profile custom number of artboards. You just need one artboard for now. Spacing, size, custom, these are all preset values. We can leave those. We're going to have a width of 800 and a height of 600. We've got padding in our artboards. And from this point on, we can go into our advanced settings, which we will leave right here at CMYK, high 300 ppi, and default. Okay, so from that point we go OK. And here we are. The all-fantastic, all-powerful Adobe Illustrator. Now, with Illustrator open, what we can do is we can have a rundown of all the buttons and controls and all these things here and all these things here. And to be honest with you, we could sit here for probably about a year. I could teach you all I know in Illustrator, and between the two of us we'd still only know about a quarter of this program. Very intense, very powerful program, designed specifically for things like logo design, illustrations, drawing, and it's also designed for print. So if I'm making things that I plan on printing, well then Illustrator is the way to go, because it is going to give me a whole bunch of really good print settings that I will be showing about in a little while here. So now that we've named our file and we've set up Illustrator, we're going to have to save this before we continue working on it, because if we don't, then if anything happens, all our work's going to be erased. So here we go with save. Let's point to the folder I have all my information in right now, all my video stuff, video work, sections 5 to 8, software, and now we can use the intro Illustrator file name from what we named it when we opened up Illustrator, and just simply save that. We've got our options, Illustrator CC. Now, of course, that's the version. And everything else we can basically just leave as default for now. We can always go in, we can change things, we can make things exactly how we want them at a later time, but right now everything is pretty much set the way we want it. We just simply go OK, and then if we minus out of the Illustrator, we can go into our folder just to make sure that our file is there waiting for us. So back into our video folder, back into our sections, and then if we go into our software, intro Illustrator, right there. Now that is the first lesson, where you store your files. Make sure you always remember where you store your files. Saves you a lot of time in the end. And I talked about the artboard. So this white block that you're seeing here is the artboard. You can always find the artboard and the artboard settings over here where it says artboards. And then from this artboard settings, if I double click within it, it's going to bring up the properties, and this is called artboard 1. We can just leave these default settings for now. I'm just going to want to adjust the height because I want this to all fit on the same page and I don't have to scroll down to see all the content. So instead of a height of 600, let's make that a height of 400. Go enter, and it's going to resize our artboard to fit on the stage. Also, your viewpoints over here are going to allow you to zoom in, zoom out, or you have options like fit artboard in window, fit all in window, or actual size. Now this actual size is the actual size of our artboard that we'll be working on. And we're going to create some really cool things, some content within this area here. So let's do. And before we can get into creating anything on the artboard, I'm going to have to give you a rundown of what all this other stuff is. Now, earlier in Fireworks, I showed you the vector pen tool, one of my favorite tools and very important for creating logos. Now, with this, we have our settings over here, which this in turn will give us a fill of white. This will give us a stroke of black. So a line of black and a fill of white. Let's just go and change that to a different color because we're using a white artboard and we just don't want it to contrast like that. So with a pen tool, you start with a point, you let go, click, let go, click, let go, click, and as you'll see, it's filling it right now, even though we haven't closed off the points, because it's just estimating what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be going. Now, if I go over here and attach it to the anchor, it will give me the shape that I was actually drawing. And that is a stroke of black and a fill of red. Now, the reason I did that is because I just wanted to put something onto the artboard to show you that the layers have now changed. And if you see here, we have layer 1, and it has a symbol of the object we just drew, which we could call that, double click, object 1. I guess that works. Enter. Now, I'm going to draw another symbol, and this time I'm going to take the rectangle tool. If you click down on this, you can right click and have different options for different shapes. So rectangle, rounded, ellipse, polygon, star, and flare, which we'll get into that. But let's go for a rounded tool. Give this a fill of, let's say, blue. Okay. Draw yourself a little shape. And then over here, you're just going to see that pop up. And it's going to add itself to the object 1. So now we have one layer with 2 objects. Over here, you're going to notice that there's a little arrow. If I click down on that arrow, it's going to show me all the properties that consist of object 1. And here you'll see our blue rectangle and our other red shape right there, both on layers. And if I take this, put it on top of that, you're going to notice how it covers up that shape, and that shape is underneath. That's because the layers are set that way. That rectangle is higher up in the scale, therefore it's on top. This shape is underneath. All I have to do is click and drag that, drop it underneath, and it switches its position. Now, you're going to want to regularly save in order to not lose your work. And over here, you'll notice a black arrow, the one I'm using. This is for grabbing and selecting objects on the artboard, also moving them around. You can also manipulate the shapes just simply by dragging the anchors. And over here, we can do the same thing with this rectangle, just by using the black arrow. Now, if we want to go in and manipulate the shape more, we have our direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. Let's take a look at this white arrow, and I'm going to show you how you can use it to manipulate the shape. Now, once I click on the shape, you can see it brings up all its anchors. These are anchor points here. And if you hover over with the white arrow, you're able to grab that anchor and actually take it with a double click and bend it into different shapes within different directions. And its center points, as you can see the roundness, and you can see these. What you're going to want to do is you're going to really want to play around with the white pointer, because this is what we use to change shapes that we've already created. Okay, I'm going to show you the properties of this. And with the black arrow, we can move it around. And down here, you're going to see the colors of the fill and the stroke. If I would like to bring its color picker up, I double click on that, and I've selected the fill. And from that point, I can go on with the hue saturation, the red, green, and blue settings, and the number color code settings. If I'd like to change it to something like a deep red, we can go 320000, enter, and it's going to change that color, which that's not the deep red I was looking for. That's more like a brown, but that gives you the idea. If I'd like to change the stroke, I double click on the stroke, and I can go in and just pick it out from here. Let's make it a red. Go OK, and you can see it's changed the stroke. Let's say I'd like to make that stroke bigger. Over here on the top, we have our properties for that stroke, and it's going to be a 1.509 point. Let's just change that to a 3, enter, and it's going to make that a larger stroke. Let's also keep in mind that we're zoomed into 200%, so we go back down to 100%. It shows us our complete artboard. And if we go to views, we can say fit all in the window. It'll bring this up. This is just your design view on being able to reduce and increase the size of the stage while you're designing. So those are the properties for your objects. Now let's quickly go through some more tools here. We've covered the pen. Here is the text tool. Now I'm going to be making a text box. I'm just not going to click on the stage and start typing text. I'm going to make the box relatively the size of the text and everything I want by making a box like this, letting it go, and you'll see my cursor is right up here in the corner, ready and set. And I will put in some text with text 1, and there you go, we have that. Now this is a text box that I have sized, and I can resize it, change it at any point in time I want, simply by doing that. And the text properties are also going to be found up here. And what we have is we have black text. We do not have stroke around the text yet, but we can get into that. If I just go and I increase the size of our text, which you'll notice over here is 12 points, let's just set that to 40 points. We'll make it huge. And there you go. You click on it, brings up your text properties. If I'd like to change the color from black to green, I click on that, click back onto the stage, and there you go. It's green text. I can also change what I would like. Marade Pro into, let's say, these are previews of all the text I have and use, and as you can see, mine consists of a lot of text. I'll just grab something out of there, and there you go. It's changed the text itself. Now, as you can see, my box is set like that, and it's going to align the text underneath of it because there's obviously not enough room there. And in order to change that, I just grab the path here, I extend the box, I let go, and it brings my text right up to where it should be. Let's look at some other important tools here. Here we have the line tool. We want to set its stroke to black. OK. We click, drag, let go, and there we have a line. From the line tool, we have the paintbrush tool. Now we can just draw like that, and it's giving us a black paintbrush stroke. And our paintbrush tool, while selected, all its properties reside up here. So if we'd like to increase its stroke to maybe a 10, we're going to have a huge brush going on. And then all the other settings reside within this. I'm going to cover more of the tools found in Adobe Illustrator in the next section, but right now I just want to give you a refresher on where we've gotten so far as the tools that we've used. Now, this is what we started with, and this was created using the shape tool. And that was a rounded rectangle tool. If I right click on that, I'm given other options. The star of the polygon ellipse. This was used creating the text tool. And when selected, all of our properties reside up here at the top for text. All our color properties are found here. And as you can see, we have a fill of green with a stroke of black. There's the green, and there's the black. This was used with the paintbrush tool. The paintbrush tool's properties are also found up here, and we're able to control its stroke and all of its other properties up here. This is the line tool. Now the line tool resides right here. If you right click on that, you're also given other options. We have the arc tool, the spiral tool. And let's just have a quick look at the spiral tool because that's kind of fun. Click, drag, let go, and look at that. It's a spiral. Let's increase it and we'll make it look somewhat like a shell. Make it a 5. Enter. Good. And that is a rundown of the tools we've used so far. Let's check this out in the next section and we will cover more of this.